In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Attribution Models report. This is the counterpart report to the Attribution Paths report, which we looked at in the previous video. It enables us to dig deeper into the attribution models and understand the effectiveness of our marketing campaigns. So let's jump in and have a look at this report. To do so, we'll first navigate to the advertising workspace, then we find the Attribution Reports report from that left-hand menu. Looking at this report, the first thing I want to do is make sure that the key event that I want to focus on is selected using that top left-hand corner drop-down picker. For me, I'm going to use the purchase event, but of course you can use that for any of your key events. Looking further down the report, we can see that there is no data visualization for this report. It is just a data table. On this data table, the primary dimension is the channel grouping, but of course we can change that using this drop-down to switch between any of the UTM parameters that you happen to be using, including the source, medium, and campaign. And on the right-hand side, we have the metrics, and we have two metrics per model. We've got our conversions and revenue. Now, of course, revenue is only going to be populated if you're tracking revenue, but in this example that I'm looking at, it's an e-commerce website, and we do have revenue. In this report, the attribution is applied on the metrics, not the dimensions. So in the reports workspace, for example, where we looked in the previous module at the traffic acquisition and the user acquisition reports, those had prefixes on the dimension names. We had the first user default channel groups and we had the session default channel groups. The attribution models there are applied at the dimension level. And in these reports where we're looking at the dimensions without the prefix of session or first user, the attribution is applied on the metrics. And if we look on the right-hand side at the top, this is where we can see what attribution model has been applied. So by default, when we open this report, we've got the last click attribution as the first attribution model, and we've got data driven as the second attribution model. Looking just above, it tells us that these are excluding direct wherever possible. The only time direct's going to get value if it's the only channel used in the user journey. You might have seen this non-direct feature pop up from time and time again in GA4, and you might be wondering, why doesn't Google like attributing value to direct, or what even is direct as a marketing channel? I've done a whole deep dive video exploring this and more, tackling what is direct, what can be classed as direct, and why doesn't Google like attributing any value to it. So check out the link in the description if you want to learn a bit more. Now, looking at these metrics, we do have conversions and revenue, and understanding the totals there is important, but we also have the relative change, looking at the change between the two attribution models on the right-hand side. And here's where we can see the change in value between one attribution model and the other for both conversions and revenue. And so here we can see some of our marketing channels have been attributed more value in this model and some less. And because we're looking at sales and revenue for this example, we can see how both the conversions and revenue can differ. Some can have fewer conversions but higher revenue. So in a sense, contributing to less overall purchases but higher average order values. The last thing to mention about this report is the date range we've selected. There's two ways of looking at time when it comes to attribution. We can either choose to look at the data based on the conversion date or the interaction date. When a conversion occurs, do we want to attribute the conversion and the revenue to the date of the conversion or to the contributing traffic that generated that conversion? We can change that filter here by selecting either interaction time or conversion time, and it real-time updates the data within the data table. Hold up a sec, Dan. You might be wondering what the hell reporting time even is and why there's two options and why it's only available in this specific report. Well, check out the deep dive video that I've linked in the description to learn a bit more around what this actually means and why it can be so important for measuring our performance marketing campaigns. So now I'm going to hand you over to Dara. Dara's just going to give us a bit of insight into how we can use this and why it's important for us to make better decisions about what we're doing with our marketing.
The model comparison tool is the only place in the GA4 interface that you can view different attribution models side by side. This is incredibly powerful because it lets you build a much better understanding of how customers are interacting with your property and also how they're interacting with your different marketing channels. And this will allow you to make optimizations to make sure those marketing channels are working much better for you.
Awesome, thanks Dara. So as you heard, it's going to be really important to use this report to fully understand our customers or better understand their behavior and their journey so that when it comes to optimizing our marketing or making changes or adding or removing budget, we can do that in the most effective way possible. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching and I'll catch you in the next one.